From South Florida, I'm Dave.
And here in Dallas, I am Q, and we are back after a while.
We're back.
So it's good to be recording again.
Yeah, does that make this season 2?
I think so, right? I mean, we have a sizable break. We're both being busy, right?
Yeah,
so
we've been on hiatus, and we're back, season 2. Okay, so we're going to start off with this question. So, companies that want to adopt Agile frameworks or better ways of working, normally the go-to, position is to form Scrum teams. Can you still be an Agile team and not be a Scrum team? Like, what are some other options and so how do you know when a Scrum team just isn't going to be the right fit? And then what are your options and still say, hey, you're an Agile organization?
Well, besides being an Agile organization, right, there's the transition period, which I think people tend to ignore. They think Agile is just a switch that you go there and say, oh, Monday we're doing Scrum. Great, let's do it. I wish it was that simple. You and I have some painful stories to report on that. But I think another classical way of seeing this is Kanban. I am not sure to this day I like the name Kanban because if you're familiar with industrial Kanban, and you are because you're an engineer, right? 3-bean Kanban, 2-bean Kanban, those things don't much have to do with what we call Kanban in the Agile world. I mean, they have the concept of flow and etc., but they're not the same thing. Now, Scrum is not the solution for everything. I think even the most fanatic Scrum adopters have to admit that. They may not admit in public, but they'll admit in private, right? And there is always that thing that nowadays we call it traditional teams that may be in the mix. So you can have Scrum teams, you can have Kanban teams, but for a while things are getting lined up, you're probably going to have traditional teams. So what we do
Can even think about that, right? There's some teams that for whatever reason are not going to be ready. And so this is where I'd like to tell folks, don't think we're going to get it all in one shot. Don't worry about future proofing, right? Like just like an Agile product, even your teams will iterate over time and there will be change. We need to inspect and adapt. So it's not about throwing everybody in the pool at the same time and expecting everybody to swim.
Yeah, I mean, future proofing is an interesting thing because everybody claims to be future proofing stuff, but how doable that is, right? When you future proof stuff, sort of speaking, you're probably going to have to overbuild stuff. I'll give you an example, right? There are DC-3s that are 80 years old, they're still flying, right? It's not the original engine. Somebody actually changed the cockpit completely. They have, I seen a DC-3 that actually has glass cockpit. It's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The frame is exactly the same. And why is that? Because that was the 30s and 40s. They overbuilt the thing. I mean, the thing is a tank that flies, right?
Yeah, it's a flying tank.
Perhaps we should be less concerned about future proofing and more concerned about adapting quickly because stuff changes.
Everybody says, hey, when you're switching to Agile, it's a mindset. I don't like the word mindset or behavior. I'm a professional. I think I know how to behave, but it's about adapting.
Okay. But anyway, the thing is, we also have to think about one thing when we do Agile transformations, Agile adoptions. There's so many buzzwords that I'm really tired of them. But when we actually move from a more traditional, slow-moving organization to a faster one that can adapt really quick, right? That whatever name you want to give to this. You have to think about one thing. You normally start with individual teams. However, the teams are not going to be on a vacuum forever. Yeah, there are a few teams that they may actually be standing there by themselves. There's some case of that. But for the most part, you're going to be working with other people, either together to deliver the same product or service or etc., or you are delivering things that they're going to use to build their other things, right? So you're going to end up getting these people all together. And that's a consideration that you have to make very early, because it's not about getting a bunch of Scrum teams or Kanban teams or traditional teams and they're doing their own thing. No, eventually those things have, I hate to use the word because I don't like it again, integrate right? So how do we deal with that?
Agile is not the destination, right? It's the results that we deliver to customers, stakeholders, etc. And what we're trying to do, then Cotter's book, right, about change, right? So we need a dual operating system. We need to bust down the silos. We need to focus on flow, like you talked about earlier, right? So where does the value stream start, and when does the product get delivered to the customer? And I always like to use that as a great starting point when you're forming agile teams. Look at the value stream map. Look at the high level activities. Where are the people today? Are they organized around value? Organizing around value could be a great way. Now, does every team have to be a Scrum team? And we apologize to our friends in the community that are diehard Scrum fans, and we are too. And there are new approaches being developed out there in industry today. I think about fast. I know Spotify is not really a model, and don't copy it. You're always looking at better ways of working.
Yeah, and I always tell people, as you know so well, because I repeated this all the time. When you have a bunch of people working together, I hate to call it scaling, but that's the word that people use, right? You have to think about three things: how to coordinate them, how they communicate amongst themselves, because if those two things don't happen, you cannot collaborate. So the three Charlies for me is communication, collaboration, and coordination. And that brings the thing that, hey, but what if they're not Scrum teams? And I get that question quite a lot. Said, honestly, I had multiple clients over the years that we had traditional teams still, God, I have one client that's still using a mainframe about 5-6 years ago, right? I don't know if they're still
a mainframe.
A mainframe, yeah. And they had Kanban teams, they had Scrum teams, because we're starting to move people into Scrum teams. And what I heard multiple times is, well, we're not going to do all the Scrum meetings and all that stuff. Or, hey, we're Kanban, we don't need the Scrum meetings and stuff. Well, I think first thing that's wrong is most people they forget that the Scrum meetings exist to replace other meetings. And they don't do that. Or if they do that, they're very long, they're very disorganized, they're very chaotic, and then everybody hates it. So let's say you fix that part. Let's fix it. It takes a while. People get used to it, and then you fix it. And then you have the Kanban teams, and you have the traditional teams that may or may not ever transition from being traditional to Agile, right? They may just be discontinued at one point. So what I told my Kanban people and my traditional people at the time is, think about this, okay? We need to know what you are doing, how things are going, and when you're going to deliver it. That's coordination. So all I'm asking you guys to do is send me one person from your team every day for 15 minutes. When we meet as a group of teams, you guys know what we're doing, we know what you're doing, and we can all work out any details, delays, things that didn't go well, and etc. They agreed with that. So I had Kanban teams there, I had my mainframe team in there, and everybody get it. I mean, we're all keeping everybody into the loop. And then I told them, okay, so you guys been doing this for a while, right? Good. Okay. So this is what I want you guys to do. At the end of this thing that we call sprint in Scrum, okay, we have this thing we call a review. And we do that as a group of teams. Everybody talks about the stuff. We show what the integrated product looks like. I just want you guys to come to that and say, hey, this is what we got done the past 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever the duration of the sprint is. And keep everybody appraised. Good. Transparency. And everybody knows how to coordinate the work with everybody else. So we don't get stuck, we don't have an impediment, we don't have dependencies and all that stuff. Does it work? Yeah, it does. So Scrum is not a solution for everything, but the concepts that were brought from Lean, right? If you look at LMS, Lean Management System, hey, we have to meet, we have to talk, we have to figure out stuff, right? That's it. It's
It's
very
all about
simple.
delivering value to the customer, reducing the waste, right? What is waste? Things that don't bring value to the customer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we need to improve over time, and there's internal factors, external factors. Like there's never going to be a steady state, especially these days with all the change going on.
Exactly. So that's my pitch about how people can work together. It's tried, it worked in multiple places. So guys, give it a try. It will work. Maybe you need to tweak it a little bit, but that's the whole thing about adapting. Adapting. If you don't adapt, things don't work.
Inspect and adapt. Yeah. What do you think, folks? We appreciate your feedback. Thanks for sticking around. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye bye.